Hey, what's going on everyone? This is Backbrace channel. My name is Amir, and in this video I'm going to show you how to create a simple currency converter in a command line interface fashion. We're going to do that using Node.js. Now, Node.js is nothing but a runtime for JavaScript, and what that means is that you run JavaScript on the back end instead of on the client side or on the front end side. And please don't be like Bob, who watches videos and enjoys them without give any like or comments or sharing these videos. So don't be like Bob. All right, so let's go ahead and start creating our application. And the first thing that I want to do is just to open my PowerShell terminal. And if you're using Mac or Linux, you'll do the same thing. You'll open your shell and we're going to do the same thing. Well, basically the same thing. The commands are very similar. So let me first go to the folder where I want to create my application. And I'm using the Z jumper. If you want to know what is that, I will leave just a card. You will find it appearing above, and it will take you to a tutorial where I'm going to show you basically how to customize your PowerShell terminal. Now, enough of that. Let's go ahead and create our folder. I'm going to call it converter. We will cd to that or change directory to that converter folder. Control L to clear the terminal. And basically what you want to do, or the first thing that you want to do, let me first maximize the screen. The first thing that you want to do here is to create a basic Node application. And to do that, we're going to type npm init. And you can hit enter here, but you will be prompted to different questions and we don't want to waste time. So we will do the -y flag to basically say yes to every question that we were supposed to be prompted to. So hit enter and that's it. So you see the name is the converter, the version, the description. Main here is the endpoint for our application, which is index.js. So we will need to create index.js. To do that, I'm going to do new item. Now, if you're running on Linux or Mac, you will do touch instead of new -item. So new item index.js. All right, perfect. There we go. We have index.js and package.json. Now, let me show you very quickly. I'm going to use Node for now. What we have, so in package.json, if you will open that, you will find that we don't have any dependencies yet. So we have the author, the license, the keywords, and in the scripts, we have just test. Let's just ignore that. So now we are going to install our dependencies that we are going to use in our application. The first one is called Axios, and I'm sure that you're familiar with that. So let's do npm install Axios. And Axios is nothing but a JavaScript library for making HTTP requests. And it provides a simple API for sending and handling responses, basically. The second dependency is Inquire. And Inquire is a Node.js library, and it also exists on Python. So it's not only limited to Node.js, but in general, it's a library that creates interactive command line interfaces. It also simplifies user input prompts and validations. So let me do clear to clear terminal or just hit Control L. It will do the same thing. And the third package or dependency that we need is Chalk. And Chalk is a Node.js, but also exists on Python. That's generally a library for styling the console output with colors and styles. So we'll do npm install Chalk. That's basically our dependencies that we wanted to install. Now let's go ahead and open our application using Visual Studio Code. To do that, you will type code space dot to open the current folder or current path inside your Visual Studio Code. And let me bring that over here. So let me just close the terminal. And we will open our index.js. And before we get started, let me just get one coffee sip. All right, So the first thing that we want to do is to import the three packages. So I'm going to import Axios. And similarly for the three others. So let me add a comment here. We'll say importing dependencies. All right, now what I want to do is to create an array of currencies. So this is going to serve our purpose in determining which currency we are interested in. So I'm going to create that array. So currencies here, and first currency I want to be US dollar. We will need the euro, British pounds, Polish zloty, Canadian dollar, Japanese yen, the Egyptian pound as well. And I think that's enough for now. So you can add any other currency that you want. So let me just change that. Great Britain pound, PLN for Polish zloty, CAD for Canadian dollar, JPY for Japanese yen, and EGY is for Egyptian pound. Also, I want to create an array of the questions. So let me declare a variable called questions here. And the first object is going to be a list. And that list is going to say basically convert from. So we will have choices of different currencies. So that's the idea. And we have typical type here, and it's going to be a list. And the name, we're going to say from. And the message is going to say convert from. And finally, we want the choices to be from the currencies here, from that array. That is the first object. So we want from and we want to as well. And also we want the amount, the number. So let's work on that. Type list, we will leave it the same, but instead of from, we will say to, and that here is going to be convert to, and this is also will have choices parameters set to the currencies array. And finally, the type here will say number, and the name is going to be amount instead of from, and the message is going to be amount to convert. So we want basically the amount to convert, and we won't have any choices, but instead we're going to have a validation check. So we will have a validate property here, and that's going to be an anonymous function, and it takes the value as the main input or argument here. And what we want to return, basically we want to return true if it's not a number. Otherwise, we'll say, please enter a valid number, because if you will type a letter, for example, this is the main purpose of the validation check. To tell you that this is incorrect, you will need to type a valid number. So we will say if not is nan, for that value that you have entered, we will return true. And otherwise, we will return a statement saying something like, please enter a valid number. All right, so this is our validation check. So that's basically our questions array here. The next thing that I want to do is to create an asynchronous function to convert the currency. So let me declare that variable which will be assigned to an asynchronous function that takes 3 main arguments: from, to, and the amount that you want to convert. So we'll say from, to, and convert, and we want to return basically the result of that conversion. But first, we will need to get the response. And for that, we're going to use the Frankfurter API. And let me show you that very quickly. Frankfurter.app. You will be directed to that website for currency conversions. And also this website provides a free API that you can use in your application. So to check this out, you go to docs, and for the latest, so this endpoint returns the latest rates, so that's what we're interested in. If you're going to click on that, you will have here get, then that's the latest, right? So what you're going to enter basically is api.frankfurter. I'm not sure if it's visible for you. It's a bit dark, so there you go. So you can see here that the host is api.frankfurter.app. But we're going to follow that with a / latest, and then we'll be interested in the 3 main parameters: the amount, from, and to. All right, so let's go ahead and practice that in our code. The first variable that I want to create here is the response. So I will do const response, and that's going to be equal to, as we said here, async. So we're going to await for that response. So await. Now we're going to use our Axis JavaScript library. So Axis dot, so that's going to be the response. We want our 3 main parameters. We want the amount, the from, and to. Then we want to go to our API. So we'll do https:// then api.frankfurter.app. And we said that we are going to use that latest route here. So that's the endpoint through which we will have access to all of the latest currency exchange rates, basically. All right, so we will do latest and then interrogation mark. Then we want 3 main parameters. We want the amount, from, and to. And basically that's going to be our main function that will run the whole application. But for now, let me just put amount, and we want also from, and we want also to, but I'm going to return to that, and we're going to clean it up a little bit, but that's the idea. Next, what I want is the result. So the result here is going to be equal the response. We're going to take back from the API data, and that's the data that we want from the response, but accessing the rates. As you can see here, the rates, you have these different rates. So we're going to use that here, dot rates, and basically we want sub 2, right? So 2, which will be the result. That's the end or the second currency. So let's say, for instance, that you want to convert from euro to dollar. So the ending result is going to be in dollar. So that's what we are interested into, basically the 2 currency rate. And finally, we want to return the result. And we're going to use 2 fixed for 2 decimal points, just to round the number up. Finally, I want to create that function, which is going to be basically another asynchronous function that's going to return the basic layout of the application of our command line interface application. So we're going to say console.log, and I'm going to use chalk.blue.bold. And I had a question where I get from my my emojis and icons and so on. So let me just show you very quickly instead of copying and pasting from my source code. So let me say emojis and icons. So I use this website, getemoji.com, and here, for instance, I want money, so I can type money. So I will take that, I will copy it, we'll paste it here, Control V, and we'll say currency converter. Next, I want to declare the answers variable, and that's going to use the inquirer, of course, with await, because we have started the function with async. So we're going to prompt our questions. So dot prompt, and we'll pass inside here our questions. These three questions: convert from, convert to, and the amount to convert. I don't know why I made two columns here. Now what I want to do is to destructure that answers variable. To do that, I'm going to do const and open curly braces. Then we'll say from, to, and amount. I'm going to assign that to the answers variable. And basically the from, to, and amount, we're going to plug them here. So let's go ahead and do that. So let me just first substitute the single quotes by the template literals. So let me just delete that. There you go. And the amount is going to be equal to, and then $sign. And then we're going to plug whatever the amount. Then we're going to concatenate that with the ampersand. Then from is going to be the same thing, from, again, $sign, and from, and then again, we're going to concatenate that with to, and to is going to be whatever the currency that you want to convert to. And the last variable that I want to create here is one called converted amount. And basically converted amount is going to take the convert currency variable, which is essentially, that's not convert, by the way, I apologize for that typo, that's amount from to an amount. So basically the converted amount that I'm going to create now is going to create the convert currency, which is essentially that asynchronous function that just simply gets the data from our Frankfurter API. So let's go ahead and do that. So we'll do const, we'll call it converted amount. And that's going to be equal to, again, await, naturally convert currency variable here. And it's going again to take from, to, and amount. All right. And finally, we are going to console.log everything. So I'm going to use template literals again, and I'm going to plug whatever the amount here. So we'll say amount. And then I'm going to use chalk inside or outside. It should be inside. Chalk dot, let's say green, and we'll do from. So that's the first currency. So from, and that will be equal to, again, we'll do chalk dot green, and I want the converted amount here, not the converted currency or the convert currency. I want the converted amount. That's what I'm interested in, the converted amount, which is essentially will return everything from the convert currency. And finally, we'll do here chalk dot, again, we'll do green, and we'll pass to here. Let's clean this a little bit. So we'll say from, then the converted amount, and to. All right, and that's basically it, guys. So let me just minimize this a little bit for a better look. And finally, don't forget to invoke the run function. All right, so that's basically it. It's under 60 line strokes. So let me go ahead and open my integrated terminal. Let's do node index.js. Oh, I know why, and that's a common problem here. So let me open the explorer package.json, And what you will need to do simply is to add that configuration. So you will say type is set to module. That's it. You'll need to do that. And I think if you have watched other tutorials where I did some command line interface applications, I did the same thing. You'll need to set type to module in your package.json. It is what it is. So let's go ahead now and let me just close that, open this, increase that a little bit, not that much. That's fine. Let's clear. And let's do node index.js. All right, there we go. So we want to convert from, let's say, from euro to USD. The amount that we want to convert, let's say 1,000. And there we go. We have 1,000 euros and it's equivalent in US dollars with 1,089.20 cents. Let's do, for instance, let me just minimize this a little bit. So let's do, for example, the euro to Polish zloty, as I live in Poland, so I'm interested in Polish zloty. So let's say, for example, that I want to, well, let's do one. Let's see the current rate. So 1 euro equal to 4.53. Oh, that's cool. It was more than that due to unfortunate events, the war that's happening in Ukraine. It had affected the world economy and the currency or the exchange rate everywhere in the world became very fluctuated. But yeah, it was more than 4.53. I remember it hit one time 4.7. So that's good for the Polish economy. Great. Yeah, so that's basically it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and don't be like Bob. If you enjoyed this tutorial, please give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe if you're not already subscribed, and I will see you in the next tutorial. Till then, stay safe and be well. See you later, guys.